Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Ansar Gilani, English commentator at the Entire Sports, instructor at Intercultural Studies, Social Sciences, English Literature and International Relations. One of the students sent a question that what's mean by revolution, how it comes into societies, and what are the corrective measures, and what are the reasons, and what are the steps taken by the people when they go for some eruptive kind of steps or some brutal steps to be taken against the anarchy or chaos or somewhat presence of the deprivations in the society at the massive level. Four reasons are flatly present in any piece of the land or in any part of the world, in any part of the land, in any part of the country that brings the people come out of their domesticized and abstracted kinds of, you can say, society, and to be aware and to induct the upcoming generations and to free them and to make them free spirited and to make them free men, how to live in the world in an independent way with high spirited flights. Ignorance, poverty, injustice, and exploitation. These are the four reasons when will start prevailing in any part of the world, in any part of the country, or in any piece of the land, will cause and lead to unrestness and somewhat, you can say, hate, and somewhat, you can say, hatredness or enmity and egoistic kinds of, you can say, steps to be inbuilt and will drive the people into such level they will have no fear of what the consequences will come after it, but it become a collective force or a collective, you can say, energy that turns into a blasting stage and people become explosive and they do not have care what the consequences will come forward. So as I have said, these are the four main reasons: ignorance, poverty, injustice and exploitation. So the countries, those are going with democratic process and they have established well roots in the, you can say, country, and they are going to facilitate and protect their countrymen and their citizens rightfully, and there would be no unrestness and there would be no any hatred or somewhat deprivations. When people are being facilitated, for what they will go for hill tossed to take on and to be somewhat brutal kind of steps to be taken. Uh, the, if we look at the Western societies and the Western world now, we can put them as an ideal example before the rest of the world. They are at the ideal stage and they have set the example how to make the people protected and facilitated, and how to keep the people to stay away from eruptive kinds of steps or brutal steps to be taken. Simply if they have somewhat, you can say, needs and demands, they are to just claim in a reasonable way, in a legal way, they are fulfilled. And if you can say something is more than their needs or challenges, like conflicts are there, religious or cultural or conventional or traditional kinds of conflicts if arise there, that become ideological and visionary kind of phenomena that needs somewhat other steps to meet with them. That is not, you can say, the financial or other you can say economic factor that is mainly playing its role to put people into hatredness and grudge and somewhat enmity to cause and to make them rise in the state against the rulers or against some particular section of the society because every you can say country having different you can say pieces of the societies and the communities which are in itself become you can say pressure groups or clashing forces and conflicts start rising and to larger extent and to a minor extent government is going to intervene and to console them and settle their disputes at the reasonable level. You can say courts are there and public forums are there, councillors are there and community councillors are there and many of the other you can say sources are present there to console them and to set them together and settle the dispute in a reasonable and rational way so that unrestness or lifting of some bad spirit could be controlled and emotional you can say unrest could also be balanced. So these are general kind of practices that generally rise in the Western concept of democracy where there all kinds of unrestness and calls and desires and demands are met with. Even if we look at the present West, they are turning the societies into animalistic and animal kind of instinct is being operated. Even the elections are driven with the fulfilling of the needs and demands of the people. People are becoming animal in any word of this, you can say, civilization, or in any sense of the civility and organized life or established life. They are crossing the limits which are standing for human standards and moral standards or morality. If that is broken, societies start, you can say, breaking inside, and there a time comes when automatically they become slave to the foreigners and they become slave to the their you can say those people that have no capacity to rule on them, but due to their substandard of their morality and becoming slave to emotion and becoming slave to such you can say needs and demands that are not a standard of human race or standard of human being or in any sense of civility that can't be accepted. If some person is a sane and wise and intelligent and have the sense of moderation, would not welcome them or accept them at any projector of life. So that become you can say somewhat other need. Demands also in the mind. Though the developed countries have some international designs how to send their investors into other countries and how to increase the ratio of their investments and how to run their business affairs with the rest of the world, they have no such designs to keep the, you can say, public antagonistic with the political sources or the state sources. Rather, their object is to keep the public at the public level, and if some demands are coming more than limits, just be given and keep them at the entertaining level. But even then, when the moral fabric is being broken, uh, the internal, you can say, this wave, a time comes when when you can say a society is broken inside, and its moral and spiritual energy goes broken, and people become dried up, and they become victim of boredom and, you can say, tedium and tiredness, because the more they go to the animal world, or the more they apply their instinctive urges, and the more they follow instinctive drives and become animal, the more their real, you can say, essence and real persona goes under challenge, and they being in human face, or in being in human, you can say, form and shape, they turn into animal being, because a person is present at two things. One is to be the peaceful person, and to be a tamed person, and to be a reasonable being. At the other end, if you can say, the animal instinct become open operative, then there is no difference between man and the animal. Uh, the thing that demarcates a line between the man and animal is the only how a person is tamed one, and how to more and more stays and disciplined with the moral standards. Though in the present world, you can say, the life is opening, and obscenity and nudity becoming the fashion of the life, and Westerns are known for, because Westerns ruled the world when people were not aware of their rights, like you can say Asia and Africa. They came later to sense and sensibilities and standards of living. Before they were to reach to the sense and sensibility, and to the awareness of what is difference between man and animal, and how to live in life, and how to administrate the public and people, and how to govern them, and how to keep them at the reasonable level. They were they had been exploited. And before the Asia and Africa's countries and people come to sense and sensibility, they have been exploited by the Westerns. And Westerns looted them, exploited them, and get all of their essence and their resources, and hoarded in the, you can say, Western countries. And now the West is rightfully providing all kinds of facilities to the people, and people are happy, and they just go eat, drink, and be merry philosophy kind of following. But the moral fabric is under challenge, and West, that was standing for technology, and East standing for ideology, both are under challenge. Westerns are breaking inside at the moral, you can say, level, and Easterns, those who are known for their ideology, now are turning into technology, and they are also under challenge, and their morality and standards are also at the vulnerable level. So the things are here, when, you can say, a society is prosperous and financially strengthened one, there would be no case of revolution or heavy steps to be taken against the established country or established state. Uh, the moral, you can say, fabric or moral standards are another thing that in the long run countries fall on, and they become easy prey to the foreigners also. But when we talk about the poorer countries that have been exploited 200 or 300 or 400 years ago by the Western invaders, now they are deprived of, you can say, their basics, even fundamental rights. That's why they are under challenge. And many of the revolutions are coming in their countries. Even the revolution that came in France, that was also an example of exploitation and injustice. And there were two big classes. One was of the rich ones, and other was of the poor ones. And poor was becoming poorer and poorer, and the rich were becoming richer and richer. And the richer were become the whole government and executive body, and the poorer become the whole serving body and the slave bodies, and become, you can say, how they were under ruling. So when you can say deprivation came at such massive level, they erupted against the anarchy and pulled over the French, you can say, set up and governments, and made them unable to how to go with the demands. In the same way, when we study the Russian Revolution, we also come to know that there was somewhat ideological change. Karl Marx's ideas were truly winning the hearts and the minds of the such, you can say, class, and poor were, you can say, ready to give their sacrifices and to get their right of living in a standardized way, either by one way or the other way. They need to be facilitated and protected, as it is the first and foremost duty of any, you can say, state. So you know well that here in the present world, two clashing philosophies of economy are present that keep the human beings in state of division. One is capitalism, and the other is socialism. In socialism, you can say, or communism, all the resources lie with the government, and they get all of services by the people, and in return facilitate them and make them able at the equal footing and equal level. People are not fundamentally deprived of their rights and facilities, and they are happy that we are serving the state, and state in response is taking care of our basic needs. But that is against the human, you can say, fundamental instinctive desire to be happy. To some extent, their will to life is, you can say, killed, and Islam goes against this kind of factor, because Islam gives liberty and independence at the entrepreneurship, and to make investments and get the benefit of it. At the other end, capitalism is there, that gives you free rights to make your investments, and you are the sole owner of your business, and from one, you can say, industry or one apartment, from one, you can say, institution, you can make another and another, and you keep increasing the number of your institutions or apartment or setups or business branches, and you keep going. And but on the other end, the owner is not going to facilitate the worker. Workers are all time there to work and give the manual services, but they do not, you can say, have the facilities. So in this way, capitalism, where the persons are made free to make investment and hire the services of the low profile kind of people, those who are not educated and furnished enough to make their own investment and rise in life. They are hired, and but they are crushed in a terrible way, and they are not given rights to how to be able to get standards life, and how to get education of their children, and how their children could be sent into better institutions, where from skills and you can say techniques could be improved, and they could be made able to help their parents in the upcoming life. So the worker and their children and all their coming generations become slave to the owners, and in this way exploitation become excessive, and the society inside start falling and start weakening, because wherever there is injustice and exploitation, automatically the hatredness and somewhat a hidden, you can say, ego will start working, and they will hoard up and collect up the positive energy into a negative aspect. Uh, Here, where you can say capitalism or capitalist mentality gives the person to have the resources and make the investment, and you can say make their products and sell it out and fix their own rates. Though the taxes are levied on them, but the thing is that automatically a business person goes on and goes on, but the workers goes on to be weaker and weaker, and in this way the class comes to clashing. Capitalism also, you can say, encourages to some extent exploitation, and cause to breed hatred. In the same manner, socialism, where it gives equality and provides the opportunities that you will not die starve, and you will not sleep in state of hunger. But the things are that when your uh, all of the resources are controlled, a person become instrument and puppet in the hands of the socialist kind of government. And in the capitalist, you can say, system of economy, uh, the larger section of the society becomes slave to their owners. So in capitalist society, there comes two kinds of slavery. One is slavery to the rich section of the society, and second, the governors of the state or the rulers of the state. And in the socialist, they become also two kinds of slaves. One, slaves to their bread and butter, and second, their capabilities and potentialities cannot be made as such operative the way the human being is known for and made for, that must be free spirited and free and fair, right to live in life, and to get facilitation and to be entertained must be there. The labor and then enjoyment should be there. But in the both capitalist and socialist and communist, where at socialist and communist, you can say, people are utterly controlled. Even their minds are controlled. When their minds are controlled, their bodies are controlled, and when their bodies are controlled, they become true slave to their governors of the state. And at the capitalist, as I have mentioned, they also become two kinds of slaves. One to their rich ones who are owning their mines and services, uh, and you can say as a whole, rich section of the society is also reaching at the parliament floor, because the democracy in the modern age, democracy is prevailing in large section of the world, uh, particularly in the western belt, in the western countries, because education rate is 100% there and democracy will automatically be there. But there is also somewhat unrestness, that governors of the state or the rulers of the state are the rich ones and the capitalist one, and there is a somewhat thin line that those who are to make the rulers, they are disciplined to such extent, and somewhat circle made around them, that they would not break their set standards, and they will keep on breeding and producing rulers and executive kinds of children and upcoming skills-based leaderships. So facilitation is there, protection is there, and prosperity is there. Facilities, all kinds of facilities of life are there, but they open the centers, and they facilitate also at animalism is to be followed. So those people who are set to slave to their emotions, they become commoners, and they become incapable how to rise in life and how to reach to the highest excellence of the life. They follow the physical desires, they follow their instinctive desires, they follow the animal, you can say, needs. And in this modern sense, in this modern way, they are also made slave. Though economically and financially they are made prospered, and they are facilitated with all kinds of facilities, but they are made animal. And when they are made animal, they become poor at the morality, and in this way they are kept under control, and they can't be living beings, and the people that could rise to excellence morally and physically and intellectually and whatever, and the things are ready for them. So the designs of the rulers are always present upon us, how to keep ourselves controlled by one way or the other way. Sophistication is always made there. The rich sections hire the poor ones, and the poor ones are good victim to them. But the thing that rises here, a fundamental question arises here. So how people come to realization that we are becoming tool to the governors of the state by the systems introduced by the philosophers. Though philosophers introduced the system in their circuit, in their time of periods, the way they thought that in this way they could bring the people out of deprivation and out of their, you can say, whatever they are not getting on at the present. When we study the drawbacks, when we study the drawbacks of the both capitalist and socialist, where socialists, you can say, hire the service, and persons, all of juice is taken. Juice mean all the labor is taken, all the service is taken, and in the response they are provided with bread and butter, and their capability and sensibility is not taken as is taken as granted, and they become slave. In the capitalists, they become slave to their honors, and their foremost honors are their, you can say, their where they are going for their job. Secondly, if we look up into the zone of the parliament, they are also present over there in uh, extended form. Firstly, they are the uh, owner of the different businesses groups and businesses sections, branches, the factories, industries, and when they become ultra rich, they turn to politics and they start, you can say, protecting their branches of their business and interest of their business, and they become, you can say, the friends of the lawmakers and administrative and you can say executive bodies of the class of the present world of their own age. So here, where we have found out the plights and sufferings present in the both capitalist and socialist communist. In between the both, Islam intervenes and it gives the concept of a welfare state. In welfare state, you can say state plays as a guardian role, and as the owner of the or the master of the house is to protect and facilitate its all of the concerned one, so that they could be cherished and they could be nourished and they could be made able to rise in life and could be able to you can say return their services into their parents when they are you can say when they are in old age. Mean at the child stage, parents are to you can say nourish and bring up the children, and then when the you can say parents become old, they become children of the children, their sons and daughters. Now it's their turn and their duty to respond them and to feed them and to take care of them. So Islam gives here a very beautiful balance of life, that at the earliest stage children are brought up by the parents, at the old age parents are brought up by the children and they are to take care of them, so that the respect and honor be maintained. And respect and honor, if it is maintained, the moral fabric of the society remains in good intact. So Islam also, you can say, gives some responsibilities every citizen, that they are to take